what was your journey from to becoming a physician?
So I went to school, specifically UC San Diego. So any Tritons out there, big shout out. Loved my time down there. After undergraduate, I decided to follow a master's in public health. Interestingly enough, public health is now a more common undergraduate degree. I guess I knew about epidemics before most people did because of, well, maybe because of medical school too, but just because I was always enthralled by them. And, here we go. We had COVID in our lifetime, which was not to be, necessarily be expected, but maybe not a surprise to some, considering that big flu pandemic was a little over 100 years ago. But we have little outbreaks here and there, but nothing like a pandemic of what we just experienced. But I really enjoyed the epidemiology of public health. So I came back up to UCLA and did a master's in public health and was close to, following it with a doctorate degree. I thought I would enjoy it, but I got drawn back to the mindset of, I think where my true talents would just be best fit would be, back in that world of pediatrics. So gave it a go and went to medical school in Chicago and enjoyed the 4 years. I'll put a little shout out. I got married during medical school. I had my first child, or our first child, my wife and I had our first child in medical school out in Chicago and came back for residency because this was kind of our home base and a lot of great programs out here and really haven't looked back.
Yeah. How did you make that distinction between going all the way in public health and then pursuing your MD? What was the specific, moment where you decided?
I think what it came down to, I'll just break it down to the simplest point. I really enjoyed the public health angle. But I think also, in this day and age, and it's only become more difficult, you just never know what happens with, getting into medical school. And, I like to be prepared. And so if things didn't work out, I wanted to make sure I had a plan. I see many more than well-deserving who would be fine physicians in whatever field they would want to do one day, but you got to get in. So, I wanted to make sure that, I had things in place or just had a plan. I mean, not everything was dotted and crossed at that time, but I just wanted to make sure I had something in place. But I mean, ultimately, if I got into medical school, which I did, I wasn't going to look back and I was going to take a hold of that situation and go with it. If there's ever a case for just a lot of hard work and perseverance, I'm probably a pretty good representation of that. But I was also acceptant of, I think there's more than, there's always another path. There's always something else that you can be fulfilled. But I was certainly honored and happy to take that next step into the field of medicine, and specifically pediatrics.